Well, I would like to welcome our Lonedell R14 families, parents, and community to our annual Fine Arts Fair for 2021. It looks a little bit different this year, but I'm glad you're joining us for this fun performance. I wanted to say a special thanks to Miss Miller, Miss Durgan, and Miss Hicks for working hard to show our students some appreciation for our American history as they journey through this performance. I want to take a second and introduce our 7th grade host for today. We have some excellent students that are going to walk you through this American history journey with all of our students and their performances. To my right, I do have Aiden Kuhn, and I also have Kat Smith. They will be taking you on a journey through American history.
Thank you, Dr. Durker. Kat and I are excited to take you down this journey of our American history.
That's right, Aiden. Let's get started with the song, American Voices. The official national march song for our nation is one of the most famous patriotic songs in the United States is The Stars and Stripes Forever. It was composed by John Philip Sousa in 1896. It is a rousing march that is performed at events such as the 4th of July celebrations and played by marching bands in parades.
John Philip Sousa, 1854 to 1932, was born in Washington, D.C. He served as an apprentice in the U.S. Marine Band and was the leader of the Marine Band from 1880 to 1892. His many compositions gave him the title, the March King.
In an effort to promote music in the United States, John Philip Sousa once said, "I firmly believe that we have more musical talent in America than there is in any other country. But to dig it out, there must be good music throughout the land, a lot of it. Everyone must hear it, and such a process takes time."
I think there is only one quality worse than the hardness of heart, and that is the softness of head.
That's President Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States and one of the most colorful voices of America.
Believe you can, you're halfway there.
Before Theodore Roosevelt was president, he was a member of the first United States Volunteer Academy, known forever as the Rough Riders, for indeed they were.
A determined conservationist and a true patriot, Roosevelt became president at the state of a brand new century in the young nation called the United States of America.
By the time America was only 100 years old, it had already made its mark as one of the greatest nations in the history of civilization.
Yet, we have only 8,000 cars and 10 miles of paved roads. The average worker made $12.98 a week.
President Roosevelt said,
The government is us, we are the government, you and I. Far and away, the best prize life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. I am only an average man, but by George, I work harder than the average man.
That was the character of the 1901 American. As the world turned into a new century, America was turning into a place where everybody wanted to be. Patriotism reached new highs in 1904, and the place to be was St. Louis, Missouri for the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, more commonly known as the World's Fair.
As America was thriving, so was their military presence. Many men were enlisting in different branches of the service. The U.S. military plays or sounds reveille in the morning, generally near sunrise.
Soldiers hear this tune, are awakened, and called outside. While in formation, soldiers are brought to the position of parade rest while reveille plays, then called to attention and present arms as the national flag is raised. At some military bases, reveille is accompanied by a cannon shot.
is 1918 at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
Extra, extra, read all about it. The war's in, all wars is over.
The country and the world were emerging from a rough era of war and epidemic. There was even talk of revenge against the countries that seemed to have caused the conflict. But President Woodrow Wilson said,
"Peace has to be a peace of reconciliation, a peace without victory. For a victor's peace will leave a sting, a resentment, a bitter memory of which terms of peace shall rest, not permanently, but only as upon quicksand."
From this idea, the League of Nations was born. President Wilson said this about America.
America is not anything if it consists of each of us. It is something only if it consists of all of us.
altogether, America was ready to celebrate and have some fun. So, the 1920s came in with a roar and a dance that was the cat's meow.
Extra, extra, read all about it. October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday, Wall Street crashes, Great Depression begins.
For the next 12 years, America and the rest of the Western industrialized world suffered what has become to known as the Great Depression. The Dust Bowl, bank closures, a collapse in agriculture, and other problems plagued the nation and times were hard. America bent, but it did not break. President Franklin Roosevelt said, "I pledge you, I pledge myself, to a new deal for the American people."
Not everybody loved President Roosevelt's New Deal, but there was definitely a new feeling in the 1930s. America rolled up its sleeves and got to work, finding happiness and satisfaction in the joy of upbeat song and dance. World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars, but that was not the case. In the 1940s, World War II broke out, and American soldiers were back in the battlefields of Europe and Asia.
Young women were working in factories at home to support the war and being nurses on the war front. Young men were signing up in droves and being shipped all over the world as defenders of freedom and liberty.
Once again, families and friends were separated, and the loneliness of war took toll on all Americans. Yet, it was the promise of being back together with family and friends that helped boyfriends and girlfriends, brothers and sisters, moms and dads, and all fellow Americans survive the pain of separation and believe in the brighter days ahead.
Dear Mom and Pop, it has been almost 11 months since I last saw you, but I look at your pictures many times a day and night and read your letters over and over. This war in Europe rages on as it does in Asia. It seems like every other part of the world. I cannot tell you where I am, but it is cold and wet and lonely as can be. I can't wait until this war is over and I can come home. No need to worry, Mom and Pop. I'll be home real soon.
At last, the long war was over in Europe and in Asia. The men and women were coming home.
Ironically, the war was actually a boost to the American economy and hope for a happy and happening place to be.
Hello, baby. Welcome to 1959. Things are looking up, boys and girls. America is feeling good. A new kind of music is hitting the airway. The sound of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. Now here's Elvis.
Rock and roll music, if you like it, you can feel it, and you can't help but move it. That's what happened to me, and I can't help it.
Now, so get your poodle skirts, slick back your hair, get your daddy's T-bird, 'cause America's on a rock and roll.
Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady of the United States from 1933 to 1945, said,
"The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams."
Even after her years in the White House, Miss Roosevelt continued to be one of the most influential women in American history. She was a champion for civil rights, the new idea of the United Nations, and of course, women's rights.
A woman is like a tea bag. You can't tell how strong she is until you put her in hot water.
World War II hero John F. Kennedy became President of the United States in 1960 and challenged America to set lofty goals for its future.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. As we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon and do these other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
This was the spirit of America in the 1950s and 60s, and the idea of a great young nation burned ever brighter. Our best ideas have always been the ones we work together as a nation to bring to reality. The common dream of a great nation was being passed from one generation to the next.
In a very real sense, it will not be one man going to the moon. It will be an entire nation, for all of us must work to put him there. Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans.
I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in an American dream. I have a dream that my children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
The 1960s and 70s were important growing up years in this great country called America. In some ways, there were difficult years ahead. But for those that believe in the beauty of the dream, we also believe that after each struggle, America comes out better on the other side.
That's the real dream of all the American voices.
Hey man, can you tell me how to get to Woodstock?
Oh dear honey, I think that's a hippie. Be careful dear, you don't know what they've been into.
You gotta chill, man. We're just happy to be alive. Right on.
It's so true. In the 1960s and 70s, there were a lot of Americans disillusioned by yet another war and what seemed to be an impossible generation gap.
Many were tired of wars overseas and cultural wars at home. America was ready for a period of peace, love, and brotherhood.
Theodore Roosevelt said,
"You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face."
Woodrow Wilson said,
America lives in the heart of every man who wishes to find a region where he will be free to work out his destiny as he chooses.
Theodore Roosevelt said,
"This country will not be a good place for any of us to live in unless we make it a good place for all of us to live in."
As he stepped onto the moon's surface, Neil Armstrong said, "This is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." And America indeed did take these giant steps forward.
Today, there is a new set of voices in this great land called America. We who stand before you now are the new American voices. As we grow and learn from those who have gone before us, we add our own voices to the choir that make up the beauty of the American song.